Major trades happening all throughout the entire offseason. Some are good, some are bad, but we slapped grades on them and decided for ourselves.
What do you see here, Chris?
2 D's and an F.
The 2021 NFL offseason was home to many blockbuster trades that promised to change the landscape of the league for 2021. How did the teams involved in these trades make out? It's time to hand in our grades for the 10 biggest trades of the 2021 NFL season. Matthew Stafford, Jared Goff, blockbuster. The Los Angeles Rams acquired Matthew Stafford from the Detroit Lions in exchange for Jared Goff, a 2021 third-round pick plus 2022 and 2023 first-rounders. Stafford and the Lions had agreed to part ways before the deal was announced. It only made sense because Detroit was entering a giant rebuilding phase with a brand new front office and coaching staff. Goff's inconsistent play, especially in the postseason, was clearly holding the Rams back from winning a Super Bowl. And the only way to get out of his contract was to take on a quarterback with a similar contract, while also giving up a ton of draft capital. Stafford is an upgrade over Goff, no doubt. He won't have to single-handedly carry his team. The Rams feature a power rushing game and arguably the league's best defense. This trade makes the Rams the team to beat in the NFC. It's a lot to give up for a quarterback on the wrong side of 30 with injury concerns. But as Wayne Gretzky once said, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. As we've all heard that 1,000 times. We're giving the Rams an A grade here. As for the Lions, Goff isn't the big score here. It's those 2 first-rounders that can only help their inevitable rebuild. If Goff doesn't cut it as their starter, they can move on in 2 years and draft their next quarterback. So let's give the Lions an A+ grade. You simply couldn't have asked for a much better return. Carson Wentz to Indy. After a dismal season that saw him lose his starting job to rookie Jalen Hurts, Wentz got the fresh start he desperately needed. The Eagles traded him to the Indianapolis Colts in exchange for a 2021 third-round pick and a conditional 2022 second-rounder that could become a first-rounder. Colts fans have good reason to be optimistic about a Wentz turnaround. Head coach Frank Reich, of course, was the Eagles' offensive coordinator when Wentz enjoyed his best season in 2017. Wentz hasn't been the same since Reich left to coach the Colts in 2018. Now he's reunited with the offensive genius who helped the now-retired Phillip Rivers enjoy a solid bounce-back year in 2020. Wentz was sacked 50 times last year. That won't be the case in Indy, who fields one of the league's elite offensive lines. Watch Wentz regain his form under his old boss. B+ for the Colts. For the Eagles, this isn't ideal considering they just gave Wentz a $128 million extension in 2019. They will carry $33.8 million in dead money following the trade. But Philly is rebuilding, and they simply had to go with Hurts. Wentz ran his course in Philadelphia, and getting 2 early-round selections is better than what many expected. So let's give them a C+. Chiefs continue O-line rebuild. Land Orlando Brown Jr. After losing All-Pro offensive tackle Ronnie Stanley for the season with an ankle injury, the Baltimore Ravens moved Orlando Brown Jr. to the left side. The latter absolutely flourished there, but with Stanley coming back, the Ravens wanted Brown to move back to the right tackle. Brown refused and requested a trade, intent on staying on the left side. So the Ravens traded them a 2020 second-rounder plus a 2022 sixth-rounder to the Kansas City Chiefs in exchange for 2021 first, third, and fourth-rounders, plus a 2022 fifth-rounder. The Chiefs had to fix their O-line after it got annihilated in the Super Bowl. Free agent pickup Joe Thuney and the returning Laurent Duvernay-Tardif should have no problem bolstering the protection for Patrick Mahomes. Oh, and KC got Missouri linebacker Nick Bolton with a second-round pick from Baltimore. A high price, sure, but KC has to protect its star QB. No excuses. A- grade here. As for the Ravens, well, they got a great deal, considering they weren't dealing from a position of strength. Brown wanted out, and the rest of the NFL knew it. But getting Adafe with the number 31 selection was a great deal. He'll do wonders on that defense, and Stanley's return will ensure that Baltimore's O-line remain as dominant as ever. It all adds up to an A+ grade for the Ravens. 49ers trade up for the number 3 selection. The San Francisco 49ers were desperate to get one of the top quarterbacks in the 2021 draft. We just didn't know which one. A month before the draft, the 49ers and Miami Dolphins agreed to a merge blockbuster deal. San Francisco landed the number 3 pick in exchange for the number 12 selection, 2022 first and third rounders, and a 2023 first rounder. The 49ers used the number 3 selection on North Dakota State Trey Lance. In Lance, the 49ers have a world-class athlete whose dual-threat style is perfectly suited for Kyle Shanahan's offense. Shanahan and the 49ers are clearly confident that they'll fully maximize Lance's skill set, and why should we doubt them? Giving up 3 firsts and a third to move up 9 spots is a lot, but you only get so many chances at landing a young, dynamic franchise quarterback. Let's give the 49ers an A- grade here. As for the Dolphins, well, we'll get more into that later, but they used some of this draft capital to move up to the number 6 spot via the Philadelphia Eagles. And they secured extra draft picks to accelerate their push towards building a Super Bowl winner. Miami gets an A+. And while we're talking about the Dolphins here, Dolphins trade up to number 6. Shortly after agreeing to that monumental trade with the 49ers, the Dolphins moved back up in the draft. They traded the number 12 and number 123 picks and a 2022 first-rounder to Philadelphia in exchange for a number 6 and number 156 selections. Miami used the number 6 pick on Tua Tagovailoa's former college teammate, Alabama wideout Jalen Waddle. Perfect use of resources by Greer. The Dolphins knew they had to upgrade the supporting cast for Tua. They signed Will Fuller in free agency a month earlier. Now there's a 3-headed monster at receiver in Fuller, Waddle, and Devontae Parker. It shouldn't take long for Waddle to take over as the number 1 wideout of Miami. He'll be instrumental in helping Tagovailoa grow into a franchise quarterback. This was a trade Miami had to make, and we're giving him an A+. For the Eagles, this trade couldn't have worked out much better. Everyone knew that they had to get a receiver for second-year quarterback Jalen Hurts, so they traded up into the number 10 spot with the rival Dallas Cowboys to take Devontae Smith. So essentially, Philly only moved down 4 spots. Still got one of the top receiver prospects. And they secured an additional first-rounder after all that. A+ for the Eagles as well. Roseman was at his absolute best here. Seahawks acquire Gabe Jackson to bolster O-line. The Las Vegas Raiders decided to break up a top-tier offensive line this offseason. We don't really know why either. They traded veteran guard Gabe Jackson to the Seahawks in exchange for only a 2021 5th-round pick. The Raiders used that selection from Seattle on Illinois corner Nate Hobbs. Jackson started all 16 games for the Raiders last season. According to Pro Football Focus, he allowed 0 sacks in 1,062 offensive snaps, and he was only penalized 3 times. That, folks, is one way of bolstering an O-line that allowed Russell Wilson to take 47 sacks last year, and this could go a long way in keeping Wilson happy amid trade rumors. Gotta give Seattle an A+ here. For the Raiders, we don't know what else to say. They had no reason to move on from Jackson. It's not as if they found a better replacement in free agency, or at the draft either. How does trading for Jackson close the gap with the Kansas City Chiefs and Los Angeles Chargers in the AFC West? We're giving them an F grade for this, because nothing about the trade makes sense from a Raiders perspective. Patriots bring back Trent Brown. The giant 6'8" offensive tackle earned his first career Pro Bowl selection with the Raiders in 2019 despite missing 5 games. But in another stunner, the Raiders traded Brown and a 2022 7th-rounder to the New England Patriots for a 2022 5th-rounder. Brown, of course, was an integral part of the Patriots' Super Bowl 53 championship team. It was Bill Belichick and company who helped him grow into a star. The Patriots were one of the busiest teams in this offseason. Adding Brown to an O-line that was ranked 4th overall by PFF in 2020 seems kinda unfair, especially at such a bargain price. He'll pick up right where he left off in New England. A for the Patriots. As for the Raiders, the only good thing about this trade is it cleared some money off their books. But it's not as if they used their cap space wisely this offseason. We have to give the Raiders a D, because we don't like the idea of trading away impactful starters for the sake of saving a few bucks. Panthers trade Teddy Bridgewater to the Broncos. Following the acquisition of former New York Jets starter Sam Darnold, the Panthers decided to cut ties with Teddy Bridgewater 1 year after handing him a 3-year $63 million deal. The Panthers traded Bridgewater to the Denver Broncos in exchange for only a 6th-round draft pick in 2021, making Darnold the undisputed starter in Carolina. Many expected the Broncos to give up on Drew Lock and draft a quarterback in the number 9 spot. But it doesn't hurt to add a serviceable veteran starter in case Lock doesn't get it going in year 3. Bridgewater had success with the Minnesota Vikings and New Orleans Saints. He didn't work out in Carolina, but that's okay. The Broncos will mostly be carried by their skill position guys and their defense in 2021. This is a low-risk move for Denver. Either Lock shines and Bridgewater sits, or Bridgewater shines and Lock sits. Or both QBs disappoint and Denver finds its next starter at the 2022 draft. Let's give them a B+. For Carolina, we just don't get them paying that much money to a guy and giving up on him after a year. What if Darnold doesn't pan out? Then you don't have any number 2 options. They may have been better off keeping Bridgewater as an insurance option. And a 6th-rounder isn't much of a return, so we're giving them a C here. Cardinals acquire Rodney Hudson. The aforementioned Jackson and Brown trades were surprising, but they didn't cause as much confusion as the Rodney Hudson move. The Raiders traded the 3-time Pro Bowl center and 7th-round pick to the Arizona Cardinals in exchange for a 2021 3rd-round pick. The Raiders used that pick from Arizona on Buffalo defensive end Malcolm Kuntz. Kyler Murray was sacked 27 times last season, down significantly from the 48 he took in 2019. His pass protection should only get better with Hudson in the middle of the line. He allowed only 1 sack on 1,082 snaps last year, per PFF. A third rounder is a steep price for an offensive lineman who's getting up there in age, but the Cardinals have to do it, especially with guys like Aaron Donald and Nick Bosa in their division. And you can never put a price on protecting your franchise quarterback. So Arizona gets an A from us. For the Raiders, again, we just don't get the idea of breaking up their elite O-line, so they get a C. Jets end Sam Darnold era send him to Carolina. The Jets just couldn't pass up on the opportunity to take BYU quarterback Zach Wilson with the number 2 pick. So they ultimately decided to move on from Darnold, sending him to the QB-needy Panthers in exchange for a 2021 6th-round pick plus 2022 2nd and 4th-round choices. You can blame the coaches and lackluster supporting cast, sure, but Darnold also has to take some responsibility as well. He had a 59.8 completion percentage and 45 touchdowns against 39 picks over his 3 seasons. But of course, Darnold can expect to fare better in Matt Rule's system. He joins an offense led by Christian McCaffrey, DJ Moore, former Jets teammate Robbie Anderson, and rookie Terrace Marshall Jr. You have to think that Darnold will do better in Carolina. And if he doesn't work out, whatever. Carolina could just take their next quarterback in the QB-heavy 2022 draft. Let's give Carolina a B here. We're also giving the Jets a B, because 3 draft picks is a nice haul for a guy that wasn't part of your long-term plans anyway. It was smart to move on from Darnold and take Wilson, who should do much better with a superior supporting cast and a more qualified coaching staff compared to what his predecessor had to work with. How would you grade the biggest trades of the 2021 NFL offseason? Join me in the comment section below. Make sure to follow myself and TPS on social media. We post great content all the time. Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, YouTube, we're on everything. Go subscribe, go follow. If you like this video, give it a like. It takes 1 click down below, and subscribe to TPS. Post videos every day's new video. Of course, thank you so much for watching. I'm Jason Biondo. I'll see you next time.
On my knees.